Hi. Well, it happened. After months of waiting, the second season of Total Drama Island finally dropped. This time all in one go on the BBC, though the first 8 episodes have leaked in groups earlier in December. So yeah, I will be reviewing this new season and see if it stacks up to the original. One thing before I start. If you remember, my first season recap of Total Drama Island was well over 4 hours. Closer to 5 actually. In that video, I went through each episode in considerable detail and tried very hard to recap most scenes from the show on top of giving my own thoughts and opinions. Suffice to say, it was a lot. Now don't get me wrong, I enjoyed creating the video and the experience was very fulfilling for me. But this time, I would like to rein it back. A lot. No recaps for me, honey. I'll exclusively be focusing on just a review side of things. What I liked, disliked, that sort of thing. Just thought I'd mention that. Spoilers from here on out, so do consider yourself warned. With that said, let's get into it. I think the easiest part to talk about first are the challenges. Now, I haven't watched every season of Total Drama yet, but in my opinion, the challenges themselves tend to usually be pretty good. I always enjoyed them for what they were. And this season is no exception. I thought these challenges were fantastic. It's hard to choose which ones were my favorite, but I think I'll have to give it to the one with the iceberg. I don't know, I just thought them navigating the insides of an iceberg with traps and all was really cool. But really, I could easily pick another challenge over it. Again, I feel like they were all really engaging and brought something new to the table. An issue I had with season 1's finale was how underwhelming the final challenge was. I'll probably get into it more later in the review, but this season's final challenge was really good. Ultimately, challenges were a highlight this season. Also really quick, animation, music, voice work, all great. No complaints here. I think the real heart of Total Drama, however, lies with its cast of characters. Really quick before chatting about the campers, just wanted to mention Chris and Chef. I think both characters are relatively unchanged from last season, and that's fine, I guess. Never really cared too much about them either way, but they served their role as hosts well enough. I did, however, enjoy the few times we saw the interns. They're very much background characters, but I don't know, they seem likable and easy to sympathize with, considering that Chris is their boss and all. Oh, and we also got 2 returning contestants serving as guests for an episode, Owen and MacArthur. I can't really speak much for MacArthur since I didn't watch the Redonkulous race yet, but Owen returning was okay, I guess. He wasn't my favorite character in the original season, but I don't dislike him or anything. I do wish we could have gotten the original robbed queen Lashana back, but it is what it is. Gary and Pete from the Redonkulous race also cameoed in an episode. Same as MacArthur, not much to say about them. Now, on to the campers. Here's how I'll be doing this. I will be talking about each camper in the order they were eliminated in. Starting us off is Lauren, aka Scary Girl. Okay, here's the thing. I'm actually kind of sad that Scary Girl was the first boot. Yes, she most likely was created to be a gimmick character and was pretty one-dimensional last season, but I don't know, I wanted to give her more of a chance this season. I can appreciate her trying to visibly make herself less scary and feel like there could have been good story potential with her. This inner conflict between conforming to societal expectation versus embracing her true, more sinister side, I would have been invested in that. But I guess the writers didn't feel like expanding on her character beyond that, so yeah. We do see her, and everyone else for that matter, later in the finale back in her default outfit, embracing her true self, so good for her. Next up is Chase. I believe I mentioned last season that Chase was my least favorite character, and unfortunately, this season didn't really do him much favors. It's such a shame, cause I'm always open to having my mind changed, and was kind of hoping Chase would offer us something different in terms of characterization. In the end though, it seemed like the same vapid, narcissistic personality we saw in season 1, so all things considered, I'm glad he got the boot. Also, let's talk about the Chase Emma storyline for a second here, cause it was kind of infuriating. Last season, as we know, Chase and Emma got back together in the end. Yeah, sure, it's a toxic relationship that shouldn't have happened, but that's what season 1 ultimately committed to. You would hope that this relationship would continue on to season 2, and both characters would receive enough development to realize that mutually they're not good together, and break things off maturely, putting a nice bow on their character arcs, right? Yeah, too good to be true, I know. Cause instead, we see them break up off screen, and now we're literally back to square one with Emma hating Chase's guts. Like, what was the point? Literally, what was the point? I should be happy they're broken up, but they handled it in the most underwhelming, non-existent way that didn't push either character forward in any meaningful way. How that relationship was handled was pretty disappointing overall. At the very least, we don't get any more of that Chase Emma storyline, thank goodness. And then we come to Millie. I think her defining character moment this season was getting too caught up in securing a win that she pushed Damien into a really dangerous slide for the sake of scoring extra points. Now, Total Drama is no stranger to the campers getting beat up during these challenges, but this moment in particular was an exception, with the rest of Millie's team expressing disappointment in her actions. It always hurts to see your favorite character last season mess up like this, but it is what it is. At the very least, Millie got to redeem herself by apologizing to Damien later on, so that was nice. I must admit, to see my fave go from 3rd place last season to 3rd out does sting a bit, but for the most part, I'm kind of okay with her going now. Season 1 really felt like Millie's season in terms of character growth and progression, so if it means that other characters get the chance to develop more this season, then so be it. After Millie is Emma. I talked enough about the Chase Emma storyline in Chase's section, so we don't need to rehash that. I'm okay with her leaving since she made it so far last time, but part of me wishes that we got some kind of dynamic with her and another camper. Last season, she and Bowie had an alliance, and their friendship was honestly a joy to watch. It ended in disaster, sure, but it gave Emma more characterization outside of her relationship with Chase. It made her so much more likable. Here, she didn't get that, which is a shame, but I guess there wasn't much room for her with the current storylines going on. Next up is Nichelle. Oh boy, where to start with this one? Okay, last season I felt like Nichelle had a lot of promise. It was just revealed that she's not as capable of a performer as the movies made her out to be, and she got sent home as a result. Think of the storyline that could have been. Nichelle comes back this season and has started training to be better, but still feels unsure about herself. She still has a lot of doubts, but really wants to prove herself this time. This could open the door for her to make a new connection, maybe someone like Axel. Axel's very capable and could help Nichelle out, giving her tips and training her in certain skill sets. I'm not asking for a repeat of the Priya-Millie training storyline of last season, but more so a way for Nichelle to build up confidence as the season goes on, while creating a meaningful friendship along the way. And if she doesn't make it to the end, she could at least feel proud knowing that she redeemed herself this season, giving us a satisfying resolution to Nichelle's character overall. Alright, enough with the fanfiction, I'll tell you what actually happened. Nichelle comes back and it's revealed that she's already done all the training she needed and ends up doing really well in the episodes she's in. All this growth happens off screen, no development whatsoever. What I would argue is even worse, however, is that Nichelle didn't really have much of a character beyond being really good in challenges and hating Hollywood for canceling her. Like, I struggle to remember other moments between her and the other campers, besides her shady dig at Julia, which I kind of lived for. But even that only feels memorable because Julia used that as the reason to get back at Nichelle, faking a Hollywood contract for Nichelle to star in 3 movies so that Nichelle can quit the show to pursue that instead. Which she does. I am just floored, really. This season did Nichelle so dirty, and it's super frustrating because there was potential. There was so much potential for her character, but it was all squandered. It's really infuriating, actually. Definitely the worst thing about this season so far. Nichelle deserved better. Then we get to Bowie, who was last season's runner-up. I enjoyed Bowie a lot last season, and this season was no different. I think he's a great character in general, and we even got to see a different side to him, feeling more conflicted at the idea of conspiring to cheat the competition with Julia and MK due to the hockey bros not thinking it's right. I do wish we got more moments between him and Raj, cause we clearly got a lot of that with the other 2 straight couples this season, but more on that later. Like Millie, I'm not mad at Bowie leaving so soon, cause again, he made it to the end last season, so I'm okay with him leaving earlier. Bowie's an icon, a legend, and honestly should have won last season. But let me not get too much on Priya's case right now. Her time is coming. Axel is the next to go, with Ripper deciding to leave with her. That's right, this is one of the 2 straight relationships of the season, which kind of surprised me. But I must say, I actually think they're really cute together. The constant kissing was a bit much for me, but I do like their energy. I was a Chipper fan before this, and still kind of am. But I do enjoy these 2 as well. Individually, I'm happy we got to see more of Axel, though I wish she stayed a bit longer. For some reason, I was really happy at the reveal that Axel loved poetry. It's not a big revelation or anything, but stuff like that still matters with character building. It was nice. With Ripper, he definitely felt more pleasant this season, especially since we saw a softer side with him and his crush on Axel. I do wish we got a bit more from Ripper beyond his crush though. I feel like last season hinted at quite a few insecurities along with a turbulent home life. Not much exploration on that here, but what we did get was sweet at least. Now, should both of them have gone home this week? No, but I guess there's not enough episodes in the season to give everyone their individual elimination, so there's that. Z is our next eliminated camper, and his storyline this season was keeping secrets. He kept the secret that Priya liked Caleb, and later found out that Caleb was allying with Priya for alliance purposes, which turned into this internal struggle of Z figuring out if he should spill the beans to Priya that Caleb doesn't actually like her. And this is compounded by MK and Julia knowing that something is up and trying to get Z to spill. I have to say, I kind of preferred Z's storyline in season 1. There it felt like he was just going with the flow, doing his own thing, and he had a lot of hilarious moments. Here though, it felt like he was an accessory to the Priya Caleb storyline, and don't worry, we'll get to that relationship later on. But suffice to say, Z's time on the show kind of felt underutilized, but also drawn out. Z himself is still a great character, but his role in the plot, not so much. Okay, after Z is MK, our first antagonist to get the boot this season. I stanned MK last season and thought she was gone too soon, so I'm glad she got to stick around for much longer. Her villainous alliance and friendship with Julia was another big highlight for me this season. I wasn't expecting them to team up, but they actually did, and I got my life. And the thing too is that they genuinely seem to like each other. I was an Mkulia shipper before this, but that hug at the end, mama, it was over. Like, please make them canon, they're so good together. MK individually also served. She was the one to encourage the idea of cheating and even pretended to be an intern for a bit to get extra insight on challenges. I was actually expecting her to make the finals, so I was kind of shocked she got the boot. Regardless, MK still slayed, and she was a lot of fun this season. And then we come to the biggest robbery of the season, Damien. Similar to MK, I was expecting Damien to go all the way. Him and MK were my speculated top 2 of the season. And when Damien found that immunity idol, I was like, oh yeah, he's taking it. But then he started getting paranoid because of Julia's mind games and kept changing the hiding spot of the idol. And when he needed it the most, the idol was taken from him by Julia. Now this is rotted. It is so rotted. I'm not mad at Julia though for doing this, cause it's Julia. What were we expecting? But it still felt like a bullshit elimination. Not to keep dunking on Priya, I promise, we're getting there. But she should have gone home this episode, not Damien. Damien is great, I love him, and he's become a big favorite of mine. Justice for Damien. Next up is one of the hockey bros, Raj. Okay, before we get to Raj specifically, I must say, I was very gagged to see both of the hockey bros reach top 5. I just wasn't expecting that. I was envisioning one of them leaving early while the other one made it far, but no, they stuck around. On the one hand, I'm happy because the hockey bros are everything to me. Like, I adore them so much. I said before that Millie was my favorite character, and that still applies to season 1. But when I take a look at both seasons holistically, I just gotta give it to the hockey bros. I'm always happy to see them on screen. On the other hand though, I have some reservations on whether that was really the best decision story-wise for them to stay together for that long. I'll elaborate more on that once we get to Wayne. But for Raj specifically, I think he's fantastic. He's so much fun, but had some serious moments, expressing to Bowie his distaste of cheating and how it's best to play the game fair. Also, I said this before, but I wish we got more scenes with Bowie and Raj being boyfriends versus... Oof. But all in all, Raj was a treat this season and he's super awesome. Alright, I think it's time we rip the band-aid off and chat about Priya. I had complicated thoughts about Priya last season. I loved her friendship with Millie and generally thought she was nice and had her head in the game. But how she treated Millie in the finale after finding out about Millie's notebook didn't sit right with me. I get being angry, but to menacingly go toward your former best friend with the intent of pushing her into lava was just not the tea. I really didn't like that scene and how Priya was never called out for it. But nonetheless, she won last season, and I was open to seeing how she'd fare this go around. And, well... let's talk about her relationship with Caleb, shall we? Here's the thing. I'm not against the idea of these two being an item. If anything, I feel like they were a decent match. Both overachievers with fairly strict parents, though I hope Caleb's parents aren't nearly as bad as Priya's. They seemed like a good pair with similar experiences to relate to. And it's clear Priya was developing feelings for Caleb early on. Okay, that's fine. Even that initial drama with Caleb allying with Priya for strategic reasons, but slowly developing feelings for her. That's cool too. But here's where my first issue arises. This relationship took up way too much screen time. The fact that we're at top 4 and both of them are still here is just... it kind of gets to me. Like, think about it. Priya won last season. She got her flowers, she got her $1 million. Tell me why she's making it this far again at the expense of other characters that didn't make it as far last season. And it probably wouldn't have been as bad if they did something compelling with Priya's character. Maybe she could have had a moment of introspection, thinking about her childhood, how she was raised, how her parents literally gave her trauma, training her whole life for the very show she's currently on. And despite winning last season, she's back because her dad pressured her into putting the $1 million away till she's 40. She can't even use her own hard-earned money till she's 40 because of her parents. Like, wouldn't it be great if Priya reached that realization that her parents suck, are toxic, and no longer needs their approval? If someone had to quit this season, I feel like it would have been the most natural for Priya to do so, coming to terms with the fact that she doesn't need this anymore, that she can be happy without total drama, all while sending a message to her parents that they can't control her anymore, that she's her own woman. That personally would have been my ideal storyline for Priya this season. Alas, it wasn't meant to be. No, instead we get this romantic plot tumor that's literally eating away the rest of the show. Definitely the season's biggest flaw, with Nichelle's character derailment coming in at a close second. Not to mention the multiple times these two had conflicts. From Z revealing that Caleb only allied with Priya for strategy, to the reveal that Julia chose Caleb to share immunity with, to the reveal, well, not really a reveal, but Priya didn't know this, that Caleb had to vote with Julia as part of their agreement. It got really tired, really quick. And I'm not saying Priya shouldn't be annoyed at Caleb's behavior here, But when you see her getting really mad for the fourth or fifth time, it's like, okay girl, we get it. She shouldn't have lasted this long. The relationship shouldn't have ate up this much of the plot. It's just, no. No. It's a no for me. So many other characters could have used that development instead, but here we are. Even though Caleb and Julia are considered the runner-ups of the season, I think it makes more sense to chat about Caleb first, since he's the other half of the romantic plot tumor. Now, as you all know, Caleb went home first last season, so we didn't get to know much about him beyond the fact that he's good looking and was a perceived threat in the competition. This go around, he makes it all the way to the end, and while I do have some comments about his characterization, I'm nonetheless really happy he got the opportunity to redeem himself and really go all the way. Individually, Caleb is generally a cool, reliable, and likable guy. Early on, he worked to be strategic, allying himself with the winner of last season to better his chances. I thought this emphasis on strategy was good. But then things started taking a turn when he and Priya became a couple. For whatever reason, he starts feeling the need to be really honest about stuff. Like his alliance with Julia, Priya wants Caleb to double-cross her, but Caleb gets pretty conflicted about it. He doesn't want to lie or break promises and wanted to tell Julia the news before Priya stopped him. What happened to being strategic? Like, I don't understand. Early in the season, it was all about alliances and strategy, but now breaking promises is too much for him? I don't know, it just seems inconsistent. And even though Priya got on my nerves, I can understand her frustration with Caleb at his hesitation to portray the literal villain of the season. And last season too, for that matter. It's moments like these that made me side-eye Caleb, like he's creating more problems for himself. That and my general grievance with the relationship in general, but I talked enough about that in Priya's section. In spite of all that though, I thought Caleb was an alright character. The other runner-up is none other than Julia, who placed 4th last season. Okay, I'm just gonna say this first. I do think Julia and MK should have switched placements. If I'm going to critique Priya on making it far this season, then it's only fair that I do the same for Julia. The fact that they both made top 4 in both seasons feels a bit lame to me. I feel like MK could have naturally taken her place and continued messing with the other campers as the season's villain. Having said that, I must confess, Julia ate the season up. Yup, she ate it up, no crumbs, plate licked clean. Julia is such a fun villain, and it doesn't surprise me that people online wanted her to win. Even though she's vile, she's so charismatic. And this time around, she actually had a genuine friend in MK, which made Julia more likable. I actually remember in my season 1 review commenting that Julia should make a friend next season to humanize her some more, and that's what happened. Sure, they're both villains, but their interactions together were honestly really sweet. Julia even wanted to use the cash prize to start a podcast with MK, like, just make them canon already. I can't take it. I think Julia really cemented herself among the greats. To be the villain of both seasons and still entertain and get viewers rallying behind you is quite the achievement. She may have lost and now has to reckon with her mullet, but she gave us another fun season thanks to her antics. Hats off to this diva. And last, but certainly not least, we arrive at the winner of Total Drama Island Season 2, my boy Wayne. Oh my goodness. I cannot describe how gagged I was at Wayne actually winning this season. I literally cannot. If you were gonna tell me that Wayne was gonna win Season 2 a month ago, I would have laughed in your face. I just didn't see it happening. The Hockey Bros are my favorite characters. I love them dearly, but it just felt so unrealistic to me to envision either of them winning. Even at the start of the finale, I thought Caleb was gonna take this. But then I saw the eliminated campers choose their teams. I saw Caleb's supporters united mainly out of their hatred for Julia. I saw Julia's one supporter there cause she's a fellow girl boss villain. But when we get to Wayne's team, they all genuinely like him and want him to win. And that to me was the first time I actually took a step back and was like, oh my gosh, he could actually win this. And even though he trailed far behind at first, that only gave me more hope that he'd catch up and make it. And when we see him again in that flying squirrel suit, engulfed in fire, diving straight to the finish line with the most badass expression on his face, it was over. Wayne has just won Total Drama Island! Yes, like, this may sound really dramatic, but Wayne winning that finale was pure catharsis to me. It's not every day where I see my favorite character from the minute I saw the promotional poster actually make it to the very end and win the season. I didn't see that for Wayne, but now that it happened, I'm just so overjoyed. Wayne is the human personification of a golden retriever. He has a pure heart, he's super kind, and he played the game fairly. In a season of cheating and manipulation, Wayne managed to be himself throughout the entire ride and got his reward as a result. Is he a bit dumb? Yes. Did he have a lot of luck on his side to actually catch up to Caleb and Julia and beat them? Absolutely. But frankly, I don't give a damn. This himbo winning the entire season just feels so right to me, and I am so happy for him. I'm just hoping he doesn't actually spend the million on 2 buses for his hockey team. Like, someone please help this boy get a financial planner. So yeah, suffice to say, I'm over the moon and really happy for my boy Wayne. I thought he was as funny and likable as last season and, in my opinion, a great addition to the winner's circle. Having said that, I do understand that not everyone feels the same. I've read some opinions online that felt Wayne faded into the background for most of the season, that he didn't have much of a plot, that he didn't take the competition seriously, and felt like an undeserving winner. And you know what? I can understand why people are frustrated. I think part of my surprise with Wayne winning came from the fact that he wasn't really a part of these big plot points. He just kind of did his own thing and skated by, with everyone underestimating him and Raj because they weren't the sharpest tools in the shed. On the one hand, I do think there's a beauty to being underestimated and not perceived as a threat, only to take home the prize as the season's most unexpected winner. And I don't use the word unexpected lightly. I think most people weren't expecting Wayne to win this competition. Which honestly makes it even more exciting. Like, against all odds, he managed to defy expectations and win it all. On the other hand, I do wish Wayne was more involved in the plot. I really do. I feel like if Raj went home much earlier, it would have given Wayne more time to develop on his own without the support of his best friend. This would have given him more opportunity to socialize with other campers. I would have loved to see a friendship with Damien happen, or maybe with Z or Axel. Just some way to develop Wayne further, give his character a new perspective. Because I would be a hypocrite if I were to say that Wayne is perfect the way he is when I just went through multiple characters in this video, wishing that they were more developed. I think the same could be said here. I do wish Wayne had more development this season. But you know what? In my truly subjective, biased opinion, even without the development he should have had, Wayne is still a great character. He's not the deepest character, or the most complex or nuanced, but he's Wayne, a hockey player from northern Alberta with a kind soul that loves his friends. If you were to tell me my favorite scene from the entire season, it would have to be that very same confessional of everyone rallying behind Wayne, cheering him on and supporting him through this final stretch of the competition. And he did not disappoint, walking away $1 million richer. Congratulations, Wayne. Oh, and one more comment about the finale. It was awesome. Like, so much better than last season's finale. All the contestants were involved in some way, the challenges were fun, and I really was at the edge of my seat. And honestly, I think they should stick to the format of having a final 3 rather than a final 2. Maybe it was just this finale in particular, but it felt so much more exciting to watch than any Total Drama finale I've seen thus far. So good. But yeah, we did it! We have reached the end of Season 2 of Total Drama Island. What a wild ride. Let's be clear, I have my problems with this season, problems I hopefully communicated clearly in this review. At the same time though, this season had a lot of positives in my book and I overall enjoyed my experience with it. Is it better than Season 1? At this point in time, I honestly can't answer that. I really can't. I think I still need time to digest this season, to fully take it in. I also need to rewatch Season 1 for that matter, get that back in my system. Both seasons have their highlights and flaws, but if there's one thing to take away from my video here, it's that I highly recommend both. Had such a great time watching both seasons, falling in love with these characters, the whole shebang. I don't know what's in store for the future of Total Drama, but I hope we get more seasons. Regardless of what happens though, kudos to the teams behind Total Drama for giving us these seasons. I'm super grateful I got the opportunity to watch and review them. And there we have it. We have reached the end of this video. I gotta say, the fact that this script is 8 pages versus the 69 pages on my Season 1 script kind of sends me. I was just on a different wavelength back then, wasn't I? But overall though, I'm proud of the growth that I achieved between my first video and this one. In the 7 months I've been on YouTube, I already learned quite a bit, and I will continue to learn as I make more content. But I guess the takeaway so far is that you don't need to cover every single detail of a show or piece of media you love to do it justice. You can if you want to, by all means go ahead. I still look back fondly on my Season 1 video, even though I never rewatched it myself. It's way too long. And I guess that was the deciding factor. I want to be able to rewatch my content, to be my own biggest fan. And if that means cutting down the video length to just the essentials, then that works for me. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. I love reading other people's opinions, and I'm sure we can get a fabulous discussion going. For now though, that'll be all. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.